The Senate will come to order.
I've worked closely with my female Senate Republican colleagues to ensure that young women across Pennsylvania continue to have equal opportunities to compete in the sports that they love. This legislation states that school athletic teams in public institutions designated for women must be limited to individuals of the female sex. The legislation defines sex as a person's immutable characteristics of the reproductive system that define the individual as male or female, as determined by anatomy and genetics existing at the time of birth.
That you're not. I want you to know that you deserve to be exactly who you are, even when adults try to make you feel less than. There are people who love you. There are people who love you in your full, authentic self. Right now, families in Pennsylvania are choosing between affording groceries and filling their gas tanks to get to work. And we're spending our time voting for the 8th time on a bill to bully children who just want to play soccer with their friends. Bills like this one perpetrate violence against children and violence against those who speak out in support of them. Kids just want to be kids. Unlike some in this building, they are not obsessed with their teammates' genitalia. I want us to stop bullying kids for political gain. Let's do the work we were elected to do to make the lives of everyday Pennsylvanians better.
And that is what Senate Bill 1293 does. It takes the promise of Title IX, equal opportunity, and it makes sure that it actually holds up over time.
How classic is it that once again women are being marginalized, being told to sit down, shut up, and be polite? That women are being asked to check their biological reality for the feelings of men? That our opportunities, our safety, and our privacy should take a back seat to the feelings of men? While I certainly sympathize with those struggling, the answer cannot be to run roughshod over the rights of biological women. I rise today as a champion and an advocate for our young female athletes. I champion against nothing. I'm champion for our female athletes. What are we doing? Why is this so hard? Our daughters, our granddaughters, our nieces, they deserve better. This legislation is long overdue.
And if you really want to know, just in Pennsylvania, since 2020, men have taken first place from female athletes 87 times. What's really interesting about this legislation, too, that the gentlelady from Blair County is pushing, if this was just an anti-trans piece of legislation, why wouldn't it include across the board? Why would we say that, guess what, girls, you can't compete in the boys' sports too? But it doesn't. Why is it focusing on biological men and boys competing in biological girls or women's sports? It's because it's been carefully crafted for one reason. That's the safety and opportunity of our young women and girls. No one talks about that. I hope we keep growing opportunities for our girls in Pennsylvania. I really pray, though, that we all are committed to keeping all our children, and especially our women and young ladies, safe as well.
So as we stand here suggesting that we are going to defend the integrity of Title IX and our daughters, I suggest we look at the history of those who, in fact, didn't want to have it in the first place. Those who actually went to court and had the Supreme Court get involved to protect it. Those who actually moved the legislation to restore it and protect it and fought for our daughters. So let this day be acknowledged for those who have a difference of opinion about what they're fighting about and arguing about. It ain't Title IX.
You know, for millennia, people understood what a man was and what a woman was, what a boy was and a girl was. And we respected that. And I respected the women that were in high school and in college and on the Sun Aquatics senior national team that I was on. I respected them for the work that they were doing. I tell folks, you know, if I'd have tried to do what Thomas had done at the University of Pennsylvania, my father would have been standing outside that locker room telling ladies, get out of here, tell me when the locker room's cleared, I'll take care of this. And he'd been the first one there only because we were so close to the university, because I guarantee the parents, the fathers of those women would have been there too. We're in a state of dysfunction in this country when we can't understand the difference between men and women, and when it's costing women who have worked so hard for so long.
According to a study by the Trevor Project, states that passed anti-transgender laws aimed at minors saw suicide attempts by transgender and gender non-conforming teenagers increase by as much as 72% in the following years. During a debate about this issue in Kentucky, a Kentucky state senator whose child had committed suicide, transgender child had committed suicide, said, "You know my child is dead. Your vote yes on this bill means two things. Either you don't believe trans children exist or you don't believe they should exist." But we do have a crisis of people when these bills pass who see all the media, some talk on social media, that watch the debates that go on with us, that see it all play out on social media, of children that will take their own lives because they believe that society is telling them they should not exist. We should affirm that they have a right to exist. We should affirm that they have a right to just be children.
There are physiological differences of men and women. This is science. We so often talk about science, but for some reason in this conversation we are disregarding science. Allowing biological males to compete in women's sports not only creates an unfair playing field, but it increases the risk of injury to female athletes, which has been seen. I would like to remind my colleagues in both chambers that this legislation is common sense. It's basic, and it's an overwhelming majority of families, athletes, and people in general who have expressed support. I have heard from many concerned parents that this precedent of allowing biological male athletes to participate in their daughters' sports leagues is of great concern to them.
To me and to our caucus, this is a tremendous waste of effort and time, and we should not be talking about this particular measure at this moment in time. You know, I think about the people across this Commonwealth and what they're struggling with and what they're dealing with, and some of the very difficult choices that they have to make every single day at their dinner table, in your districts and in our districts. These folks are making difficult decisions with respect to our ability to be able to afford food to put on their table, to be able to buy appropriate medicine, how they're going to deal with health care costs. And need I remind folks that over 130,000 Pennsylvanians will no longer have health care in this Commonwealth because of actions of the President and House Resolution number 1. 130,000 people in Pennsylvania dropped their health care coverage. So if we're worried about protecting children and people and women, let's talk about those 130,000 people who no longer have health care coverage. Let's talk about what the impact is having on them. That's just one of the issues that Senate Democrats have been talking about with respect to the needs of the people of Pennsylvania, what we should be talking about. We need to be talking about things that are important to people at their dinner table and the concerns that they have. And as I mentioned, we all hear it. Affordability. Affordability is the key word that's resonating across this Commonwealth and across this country. And what are we doing to address affordability? Nothing. Nothing at all.